No problem.
And there it is. There's the notification that says we're live. There it is. Thank God. I was concerned.
And
Yay,
there's the
we're
little
live.
live yellow switch there.
I have no idea how that works on your guys' end. I see the live feature on my channel, and I don't know how to do that. Looks exciting though. One day,
Well, some
maybe.
of us don't even have the option of live streaming yet because YouTube does this thing where you have to have a certain number of subscribers and or hours of content before they'll let you live stream.
Oh.
You have to have at least have 100 subscribers, and actually, I think that's the only limitation that I know of. You have to have at least 100.
100 subscribers, and I think it's like 1,000 hours of content or something like that.
Man, I don't know if I have 1,000 hours.
If you've been on YouTube for longer than that rule has existed, they probably let you in first.
Oh, that could be. Yeah.
It just applies to people that showed up after.
Yeah.
Cool.
My
and
channel's
hey, when you guys, oops, sorry. When you get a chance, I don't know if you can populate a link now, but send it to me and I'll tweet it, and then anybody can find it and chime in too.
Okay, hold on a second.
No problem.
I'll copy this here, and then I see if I can enter it into this chat window here. And then
yay.
There we go.
Radical.
There we go. All right. So, do we have anybody here? That's my question.
So tell me about you guys. How long have you been interested in comics and all that jazz?
Who wants to take the question first?
You can go first, or if you want me to go, I'll go.
Sure. And of course, we have one of our first viewers here. We got the Soul of the Dragon is here. Hello, good to see you. He's normally one of my usual culprits. Soul, unfortunately. But anyway, apologize for the echo if there is some. But so I've probably told this story multiple times on my channel, Mindy, to understand everybody here. We got Roan is here. Hello, Roan. I started reading comic books probably about 1993 or between 1993 and 1995. Around that time was when I started buying comics and started collecting comics, mainly with Spider-Man, X-Men, because those were the animated shows I was watching. The shows are what got me interested in comic books and superheroes. And then after that, I just started reading the books. And I've been reading for many, many years.
And in regards to my coming into comics story, as it were, I don't honestly remember a time when I wasn't into comics. Like, it literally predates my earliest memories. I think I was just born to be that nerdy, and it sort of happened that way. My specialization, though, tends to be in more of the mystical and or cosmic side of the various comic universes.
And you're so gonna love my book. That's 2 hits in a row. You like philosophy, and you like cosmic, fantastical things. You're gonna dig it.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be my cup of tea, but it might be. Who knows?
I think so. Actually, Spider-Man and X-Men are probably 2 of my favorites. I like Spider-Man, X-Men. I like the Gotham universe because it's full of crazy people. And then, that's kind of about it as far as Marvel and DC goes. I do like the Flash because I think the concept of time travel is pretty cool. And like karma catching up with him. I got a thing for karma, obviously, but no, I think Spider-Man and his humor is funny, and I have a sense of humor. So in my book, you can tell right away I've got a sense of humor in the first 10 pages. So you might like it too. And if you like X-Men, you like cool things like that, you probably like it too. You don't have to be. It's not World of Warcraft, right? It's got some pretty down to earth things about it, and I think it's really relatable, no matter what you like. But if you do like philosophy and if you do like cosmic things, it is definitely something you're gonna like. But I think you like it too, you know.
Oh, that's
Well,
good.
you said you don't really like much in like the big two apart from like those couple that we mentioned,
Yeah.
but you also said that you're interested in like philosophy and mysticism and whatnot. So, obvious follow-up question: have you read or heard of Neil Gaiman's Run of the Sandman?
So yeah, I have and I've read some of it, but I have not gotten very far at all. Like I'm in issue 1. And it's funny because I think when you're a creative person, there are thematic similarities you come across, and it's almost like everyone is on the same wave of consciousness as a
Mm-hmm.
creative person because you see other creative people do things that you were just thinking about yesterday. You know,
Yeah,
that happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about, a mummy, an ancient mummy or something like that, and
mm-hmm.
then the next day I'll see a reference to an ancient mummy. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all that's always happened. And it's always made me so angry. When I was a little girl, I was like, I'm going to create this. And then I'd find out that someone already did. That
Yeah.
happens all the time. So to avoid that frustration and also to avoid being told that, oh, you got your inspiration from this and this and this, I have
Yeah.
actually avoided some stories, that one in particular, because it
Mhm.
is about mythology. And I did read a first issue of his American Gods that came out, 2 years
Mm-hmm.
ago or something, in comic book format. And that's as far as I read too. And so he does some, demigod themes too, which are kind of my themes as well, a little bit. Beasts, things like that are in my story. So to avoid that whole thing, I've not touched Neil Gaiman. I know of the Sandman. I've been told that in my real funny comical fits that I used to have with an old friend of mine, that I reminded her of Delirium quite a bit, because sometimes I can just be really, really funny, and I have been able to make people laugh. That hasn't happened in a long time. I'm not friends with that person anymore, but she would always tell me that.
Oh dear.
So I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's about it. We'll see.
Well,
We'll
Well,
see.
if you find yourself ever able to compartmentalize that, I would highly recommend giving it a read because it isn't as straight up mythological um as it appears on the surface. It's very much more, to use a philosophical reference,
Philosophical.
sort of
Yeah.
yeah, platonic in nature. Like
Yeah.
the endless are um the literal sort of coalescence of the form of their various things. So dream
Yeah.
is
That's
all
what I
dream.
kind of gathered, and I've read summaries, you know what I mean? Like I straight up, if there's a title I'm interested in but I'm not able to take the time to read it or something like that, then I will Wikipedia that. I will totally Wikipedia that, and I'll read the whole plot summary of the entire series. So I think I did actually read all of it in Wikipedia, so I know what happens and stuff, and I know who the characters are, and that was part of the research I did when I was considering putting my book into the world, to make sure that I wasn't exactly like anybody else.
You weren't being derivative or
Right,
following any
redundant
folk
or
tales,
something.
yeah.
And he is a lot more philosophical in my story than I intend to be. The philosophical is in the background noise that you can just decide for yourself, and mainly it's visual. Like you might see something that reminds you of maybe a mythological god or an ancient queen or something like that, and you might think, oh, well, that's an interesting take. But I don't just go on diatribes of philosophical, why are we here? My dialogue is really real. It's, people talking. There's a lot of action. It's got a lot of action scenes, fight scenes, stuff like that are cool. And so I would say that my story is probably going to end up being a lot different. There are some similar characters I noticed, but since then I've changed them. I've changed them a lot. So yeah, I don't think that you're going to find that we're redundant at all. And I used to really like the Dresden Dolls. You know how he married Amanda Connor?
Mm-hmm.
I used to like them way back when I was a teenager. I don't really listen to them anymore, but yeah, it was. Interesting to see that happen. Didn't expect that.
Karma coming in 2019.
Yeah, totally.
What if you could just give a brief sort of intro to the plot? What is the book actually like about?
Yeah, that'd be
So
interesting to find out.
yeah, sure. Have you read my elevator pitch at all, or gone to my website and read the short little verse?
I actually haven't yet. I
Okay.
forgot
No, I
to.
haven't either.
I will. I'll kind of like read you this. It's maybe a little bit different, but it says, "You call it limbo, I call it the etherworld, where the damned are itching to break free. When the very threads of life and death unravel, it becomes one twisted, ugly fight to control the power of the etherverse. The most wicked of all immortals have been plotting their sinful reign for centuries. Will they finally rise above all? Escape in this thrilling adventure, mythological fantasy about fleeting morality, insatiable appetites, and the webs of wonder in an ancient world. It all begins with one brash and willful girl named Karma." So I have that shortened up a bit on my website, but that's pretty much it. So the concept of limbo, of people who after they die and they go into the afterlife, but it's not heaven and it's not hell, and they're stuck there. And they're stuck there because they're just morally poisoned, right? And they can't seem to escape the own damned suffrage that they've created for themselves. Okay. So you'll see within the first 10 pages, I was originally releasing it as a written novel. And then I found Comicsgate, which made me want to do this again and give it a shot, right? And I found Indiegogo, and I thought, all right, I'm just going to do this. So the first about 10 pages are my chapter 1 that I wrote, intending for it to be a novel. So you'll see it kind of gives like an introduction into the world, and you've got all these cool, funny, and creepy characters and a background of what the limbo world that I've created, called the Ether World, looks like, and who lives there, and what the people do. And the people just basically waste away, and they're bored. They're very bored. And there are, people, or I will say beings, that have been there for thousands of years, and who knows. And they are all itching to get out of it. They're stuck there and they want out.
As you would if you found yourself stuck in limbo.
Exactly. So that's what it is. And then they have an opportunity to actually be able to make that a possibility. And it's about them all going after it. And my protagonist is this very outspoken girl named Karma. So Karma is actually the name of my female protagonist. And she has to, she gets involved. I guess I'll just say she gets involved. So, and her story is very interesting, how that weaves together. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot of good info.
Cool.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Alan Moore's Prometheus series, kind of. It's not in any way a one-to-one parallel, but just the sort of girl thrust into the sort of eldritch machinations.
Yeah.
Theme, sort of.
I have not read that, but I believe I've heard of that and probably looked at a cover or two. That sounds so familiar. I can almost see it in my head. But like I said, I kind of just tend to stay away from anything remotely similar at all. But, I've spent a long time doing this, like hours and hours and nights where I've just stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, putting things together. And it's very structured. I'm not going into this just making a lot of things that I think are cool. Like there's a purpose for every single thing.
You have a scheme.
Yeah, I have a major plot.
You have a plan.
I have a plan. It's a grand plan.
Oh, that's great. Well, I should probably address people in chat, because I know I saw, what was it? Eric is here. Maverick, I saw you earlier. Omnitron, hello. Mystery Rob, also hello. That's not someone I'm familiar with, but hello. And of course, Maranya is here. Hello. Eric mentions the magic and Dalton drinks. So another drink. Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. because Dalton magically arrives.
There's a running joke on these streams because I always tend to bring it back to similar topics.
Yeah.
Magic is one of them. So
shame on you.
Magic and Sandman. Because he asked me the same thing. It's like, have you read Sandman?
Yeah, I will continue to guilt trip you, Nightwolf, until you read it. That's going to happen.
Have you looked at the price tag?
Well, I can get you the individual issues if you want. I just thought the omnibus looked
it does look nice.
Better.
Yeah. Dalton, you there?
I was thinking about doing an omnibus.
Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there for a second.
Oh, it's okay. It's fine. No. Yeah, it's like, that's a pretty pricey omnibus. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just like
the individual volumes though were only like $11. So I'll.
Oh yeah. If you could send me a link to those would probably be a lot better than the big omnibus. Then I can go at my own pace and not spend massive amounts of money, and maybe even find used copies too. So, because I'm always willing to look for a used copy of a book if I can save a little bit of money.
They just did another reprinting, so it shouldn't be that hard to find.
Okay.
Which book are you referring to now? Are you still talking about the Sandman?
Yeah, he's talking about Sandman because a while back we talked about it on stream, and he sent me a link through Twitter DM to the omnibus, and I was like, nope, I don't have that kind of money. Yeah, I'm broke.
The omnibuses are beautiful works of art, but they are pricey as sin.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. How much are they?
What was it, like over $70?
Like $79, and then the second volume is like 80 some.
Yeah, and they have really nice covers, front cover and whatnot. They look pretty, but it's like, I don't got that kind of cash.
Yeah.
Is it like a hardcover, or is it an issue?
It's they're hardcover.
Oh, that's part of the reason why. But that is a little bit much.
Well, it's 75 issues though of an entire run.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
That would
it is what it is.
Yeah. I'll find a way to read it eventually. There's many comic books that I missed out on because, I wasn't an internet darling for many, many years. All the comic books I read was whatever I was interested in and whatever I could find at like local grocery stores and flea markets and garage sales. Those were the comics that I picked up. It's like, oh, this looks neat. Oh, Spider-Man? Heck yeah, give me that. And then sometimes some people would give me random stuff that I'm like, okay. I think one person that I actually knew gave me an entire collection of Green Arrow, but I never bothered to read it because I was like, I'm not really a big fan of this art style, so I'm not gonna read it.
That's horrible.
Was that Neil Adams doing Green Arrow back in the day?
I think it was the Longbow Hunter arc. I think. I'm not positive.
Man, I didn't really read comics when I was a kid. Because, I think it was just more of a boy thing, right? So I was reading like The Hobbit and Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland and things like that. I did come across some comics here and there about shapeshifters from the library. And then when I finally did pick up kind of like my first comic in a shop, it was Spawn. And I like Spawn. I love Todd McFarlane. I think he's my kind of ultimate inspiration. And if there was anything that I was going to strive for with Karma, it would be the kind of industry-changing art that he did, where he started breaking the mold and breaking the frame and drawing this really cool, expressive art. I mean, I love his style and his art. So that's kind of what I'm going for and shooting for. I've got the art's pretty unique. So, I mean, really, honestly, I'm motivated by the art more than anything. The story came afterwards. But I was never.
There's always different creative ways of going about it. For me, I always come up with like character ideas and design before I even have plot and story. That happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I'm probably the same way. That's maybe why it took me 5 years to put it all together.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You think 5 years is bad? How about over 10?
I don't doubt it. I hear people and they say they've got projects sitting in the back of their head all the time. And I
Yep.
believe it because I do too.
Yep.
It's a thing.
I read comics when I was a kid, says Maranya. Yeah, she did. She's a
Yeah.
very I can't even remember how old she is. I know she's older than England team, but I cannot remember how old she is. But she's been around a long time.
That's cool. I used to frequent the library. That was what was cool. I grew up kind of in a small town, kind of half in a city, half a small town. And I would walk to
Yeah.
the library all the time, like every day, going to the library, and I would read all the books and I would love the cover art. So that's one of the reasons I decided to try to be a cover artist was because I remembered from when I was a kid, like Island of the Blue Dolphins. That has a nice cover.
Mm.
Things like that. The Hobbit. Illustrated version of The Hobbit. If you haven't seen it yet, by I think Alan Lee, it's fantastic. It's really cool.
Hmm.
The dragon on the front.
I don't know if I've seen that one or not. I might have. You never
Oh,
know.
it's good. It's really
Did
good.
you ever watch the 1970s Bakshi Hobbit movie?
No,
Yeah.
I need to, and I just saw it available on one of my apps. I've got like Netflix and Tubi TV and Pluto and stuff like that, and I saw it there. It's on my to-do list to get that done soon.
Let's just say it's much better than the Peter Jackson trilogy.
I don't like the Peter Jackson Hobbit. I
No,
don't.
me either.
It's boring. Oh, it's so boring and
And
cliche.
it completely missed a large part of what I always thought the point of The Hobbit was. The Lord of the Rings is a grand epic.
I like The Lord of the Rings. Yes, I think he did a good job.
The Hobbit is a fairy tale. That's the difference. The Hobbit is a sort of a fairy tale or an adventure story.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings is more your grandiose medieval epic.
I think it would be like the Odyssey.
I love the Odyssey. Hey, that's a good point. That just pinpoints what I always didn't like about The Hobbit is because you're right. The Hobbit, it's like they made it to be an epic war story, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that, and it's one of the things that always made me like the Hobbit book better than the Lord of the Rings, because I related stronger to Bilbo than I ever will to Frodo, because he was very measured and intellectual and homebodied, and he had his very particular way of liking things done, and I was much more like that than I was the stalwart dreamer of I can't wait to get out of here. So when Bilbo would be fighting trolls and muttering under his breath, "Can Fusticate and be bothered this infernal thing," I was like, yes, that I can relate to.
Yeah, I like the epic story of Lord of the Rings, and I always liked the movies. We used to want to be a filmmaker more than anything, so it was cool to find comics, about 7 years ago or whenever. I think that's 5 years ago, whatever it was, because in my head I always wanted to make films and be a film director. So when I draw pages, that's my ultimate process. I've got a page in front of me and I just close my eyes and I imagine if I was in a movie making the scene, what I would do. I don't like to start just on flat paper and draw what I think is supposed to be there. Like, oh, these people are sitting at a table, so I draw the heads and the table. I don't like to do that. I think I've figured out a good method of making things more dynamic to my style, and that's exactly what I just described. That's how I do it is I close my eyes and I try to put myself in the scene, and then it's like I'm drawing in a fisheye camera lens of what it would look like if I was sitting right there. That's what I try to do. If I can make anybody look at my book and tell me that it feels like they're in the book, that's all I want. I would just sign off, drop the mic and just leave right there. That's it. That's all I want to do.
That's an interesting process.
Yeah. Alan Glass says comics are a perfect medium for book to film.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually true because comic books are basically a storyboard. And when you're doing a film, there's always a storyboard.
And how long did it take Hollywood to finally catch on to that?
Way too long.
It did.
Way too long.
Yeah. And I think that's what was part of the reason why when I had my comic shop open, people didn't like the Marvel and DC stuff, because you open up the book and it's like they totally skimped on the art. It's so flat and just panel, 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 panel. There's no creativity involved. They're just slamming it out. And that's
I think a lot of it had to do with they're publishing books for the trades, not for single issues anymore. I think that's part of the biggest problem, because it's definitely a problem for like Bendis, because that's just his overall habit of he's just like, what is it called? Decompression? I think it's decompressive. Well, no, not just deconstruction, because he does that too, but no. He does a style of decompressed storytelling. It's the reason why when you read it, yeah, because from issue to issue, it's like you feel like your certain issues are not as important as maybe issue 1 was. Issue 2 might feel unimportant and not doesn't mesh well. And then when you see it in trade, it's like, oh, I see what he's doing. This is how his process.
I think a large part of the problem is just getting people who don't have the passion for the characters.
Because, there's that problem too.
You know, any one of a number of comic fans would kill to write for any number of these characters, and yet you've got the people who are actually doing it who don't either know or care about these characters, and it results in bland, ineffectual storytelling. Whereas these characters deserve better. There's a reason they've lasted for, almost a century at this point.
Yep. I mean, I advocated along with others. It's like, let Nerd Wonder write Spider-Man, because it's clear that she has the passion and the love for the character to make it work, and I believe she could. So
and if I was tasked with writing every magic user character from now until the day I die, I would consider that an honor. I would not consider that a burden at all.
No.
And that's the problem with the industry, though, is that, what's going on right now is that people are just playing high school, and the jobs all go to their friends. It doesn't actually go to someone who might perpetuate the character or who has the passion or, the talent.
It's an elitist attitude.
Art as a means to an end, rather than art as an end in itself.
Yeah, and that really saddened me about Marvel, because I did this portfolio review with them, and like my name got put on a list, and I was so excited. But then it happened, and then it was really bland. I didn't get any critique. And then the following year, which the talent manager is supposed to go to San Diego Comic-Con every year and do the portfolio reviews to find new talent. That following year, when I was like, in my head before that moment, I was thinking, okay, this has to be it. I have to get a job. Come on. Mm-hmm. They weren't even there. I emailed them. It might have been 2 years out. I don't remember. I emailed and I said, hey, to the talent manager, who I had finally gotten a hold of again after a period of months without talking. And I said, are you at the con? Because I am, and I'm here, and I'm ready to do my portfolio review, which I would expect to happen again, right? And they were like, oh, we're not even there this year. We just don't even care, really. So we're not even looking for talent.
Uncaring and ineffectual people sounds like what Marvel is nowadays.
I think
just
they're
don't seem to care anymore. They would rather get their sources from get writers and whatnot through other means, and it kind of shows. It's like none of the newer talent that they pick up are well known for being, comic book writers and artists and editors. They're more or less like, hey, I'm on Tumblr. Follow me on Tumblr.
Or even fans, because I will not stress this enough. You could get fairly far just by letting someone with the knowledge and expertise of a particular character write that particular character. Even if they do have somewhat of a narrow skill set. Like, there might be a person who only knows how to write one character, but they know everything there is to know about writing that one character. So let them write it.
Yeah, but we can't have that. We had Peter what was it, Peter Tomasi and Dan Jurgens writing Superman individually and both doing a stellar and fantastic job. What does DC decide to do? It's like, oh, we just got Bendis, the most overrated comic book writer of all time. Let's put him on Superman because he knows how to write a Superman type character, a character he's never touched before.
Mm-hmm.
With maybe the exception being the Sentry. And the Sentry isn't even a Superman.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. People like to conflate the Sentry and Superman, but in all honesty, if you're looking for Marvel's iteration of Superman, the closest analogy is Hyperion, not the Sentry.
Yeah, I know. The Sentry was just the Sentry is a cool idea for a character, but definitely not a Superman.
From what I hear too, their page rates have gone down. Their pay per page for Marvel.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I was just like, yeah. I'm just gonna do indies, and then I was working with indies for a while, and then I just decided, no, not at all. Now I'm back, and I'm just doing my own thing. This whole industry is just a mess, and I can't tell you how many times I've been told by people that they would hire me if I got a large enough following online so that they could find me useful. So they could use my following to translate into sales. That's when they would hire me. They'd come back when you have, this many followers.
I could see how that might be an effective business strategy, but it's like, how else are you supposed to build that audience unless you're part of a publishing house?
Unless you have the actual means to get an audience, how are you supposed to?
Yeah, and at that point, it's like, well, why don't I just do my own thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I'm going to go after online followers, then I'll just put out my own product. Why do I need you?
And then you get to keep all the profit and revenue anyway.
Exactly. And people who work for Marvel and DC, they sign a contract that says what they draw isn't even theirs. So, it ends up on a t-shirt somewhere at Walmart, and they don't get the royalties off of that you might think that they do. It's not, it's okay, but I would rather have all the royalties to my own stuff and not have to be told what to do or how to think.
Yeah. To me, it's kind of funny. There used to be a time when I would love to work for Marvel or for DC at some point, but now it's just like, no, actually, I think that due to the type of art that I tend to draw, it doesn't really fit with Western comic books in general, and I would rather have most, if not all, ownership of the work that I'm doing. Yeah, no, you're not gonna get me to work for you, no matter how much you beg. even if
I would gladly still work for either of them as long as they put me on one of my characters, because that's the thing. I have a great degree of expertise in very specific characters.
Yeah,
I don't know shit about a Spider-Man or the Hulk or
give this man Doctor Strange.
Huh?
Get Mark Waid off of it and put this man on it.
Yes, please, for the love of God, let me write Doctor Strange. I could fix the.
Can contact Dalton at the Authenticator on Twitter.
Yes, please, for the love of God, I would do it for free just to fix the character.
I do believe him when he says that. Actually,
I'm not kidding. I would if they put me on Doctor Strange, I would show up to work every day for free just to fix the character, because the character.
But see, they take advantage of that. That's the crappy thing, because I did that too for a long time. I was just going around saying, please, just at least let me do this. I want to work with you, and then I do stuff for free, and then that turned out badly. Because I really think that as much as I totally hear you out, because I've been in the same boat, I don't think I'm ever going to work for free ever again. I don't think an artist should have to, It's unfortunate that people want you to all the time.
Which is fair enough, and I'm certainly not going to turn down being paid if that was the arrangement. I'm just saying that if worse came to worse and they needed someone to write it for free, for the sake of the character, I would do it, because I think the character matters more than my ego.
Yeah.
Well, that's a dedicated fan.
Yes.
Good job.
He's very dedicated to characters like Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate and others.
Yeah.
Let's
All of the magic users and cosmic characters, basically.
I like
Personally,
Magic
for
the Gathering
me,
art.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
For me personally, if they're going to like bring like the Nova characters back at some point, please just put Dan Abnett back on again. At least he cared to write a good story. Anyway, I was going to maybe kind of look at the comments here. Stay in contact with Peter and Alternate Comics. Well, obviously, you should. Everybody should be following both of those individuals right now. They need the support.
No.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they need support not for the sake of pity, but for the sake that they're doing what I would want other comic book companies to be doing, actually promoting comic books and promoting a more unified front of saying, hey, we're here to sell comic books, and that's it. We want you to come and buy our books. And that's all I've ever asked of companies like Marvel and DC. It's just like, come buy the books, please.
Hey, 1 second. I'm going to go give my kid a toy because I hear them being upset. I'll be right back, okay?
No, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. Me and Dalton can hold the fort. I dreamed of working for Marvel until it's fumigated. No thanks. I'm with you, Maranya. Until they fumigate the place, I think I'll stay away.
but the sad thing is, if everyone approaches that attitude, then nothing is ever going to change. If you're going to change it, at least someone has to try to change it from the inside.
But is that even remotely possible at this point? Would I think be the question right now. From what I've seen, I mean, considering that we're getting crap directly from the top, and I do mean literal top with Joe Quesada, and considering he pretty much is the one who hired C.B. Cebulski to begin with, it's a little hard to see anybody fundamentally trying to improve Marvel from inside. I mean, it's not, I'm pretty sure there might be some who would be willing to, but they're probably too scared to try and let their voice be heard at this point.
Oh,
because
definitely.
they don't want to be ousted or attacked or threatened.
Well, there's the other layer of, those who push these types of ideologies consider it a moral issue. So even if the person with common sense goes, but this isn't good for business and or art, they'll go, but you don't want to be a bad person, do you?
Yeah.
How dare you? You don't want to commit wrong things, do you? And then they'll shut up.
Yeah.
That's 100% true, yeah. I can't even ask Gail Simone a question.
No, you can't ask any of them a question. I told, well, here's the thing with the Joe Quesada situation that I was going to touch on, and, he's been complaining. He complained for over 3 days, if not longer, about the fact that, members of Comicsgate have, said or done things in the past. It's like, well, for one, it's a movement of several different individuals, and you can't control everyone, no matter how hard you try. And it's like, oh, you want people like John Malin and EVS to, disavow diversity in comics. Even if somebody decided to do that for real, they still would not, accept the apology or anything. They're not going to accept you, even if you were to agree with them in that manner.
Yeah,
and
you don't ever get on the good side of the mob. There's only the violent side and the apathetic side.
Yeah. And the other thing that, was in one of the tweets that I posted, and it was basically, it's like, maybe you should clean your own house before you ask others to clean theirs.
Boom. That's right.
And considering that I do that for work, that's saying something. I for my mom's living, she cleans houses, and I help her clean the house. These, houses owned by people with a lot more money than we do, And why should we have to clean your mess. You should be doing it. Well, I mean, I'm doing it for a paycheck, but in the case of Marvel, um,
They
Joe
don't
needs to clean
care
house.
though. You know,
No,
they
they
don't care.
don't.
They're too big of a giant, and that's what happens when sometimes people get too much money and they have too much. It gets to their heads. You know.
Well, I think the other problem is that like the websites like CBR and Newsarama and others, they stroked their egos too much for too long.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of that, and the fact that those companies are just more, those news sites aren't actually interested in actual, critical analysis. They're not interested in actual reviews that are, at least as unbiased as you potentially can get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Considering that's the case, it's because of sites like that individuals like Mark Waid and Dan Slott have gotten such a huge ego, they think that they can just do whatever they want without any form of repercussion. And due to the fact that Marvel has, in a sense, kind of proven they have no actual leadership, even from Joe,
Mm-hmm.
there's no... Oh, what was I thinking?
There's no
The problem...
of a guilt
Go ahead.
or human touch there. It's just all
Yeah.
crazy business. Don't even care.
Lest we forget that Joe Quesada is the guy who thought it was a good idea to sell Spider-Man's marriage to the devil of the Marvel Universe.
Don't remind me. I've called this man a hack for years because of things of that nature. So,
can I ask real quick? This is news to me. So somebody, I forget who, wants EVS and someone else to disavow diversity in comics. Why?
That was Joe Quesada, the chief creative officer of Marvel.
Okay, yeah, I know Joe. Who Joe is. So yeah, he wanted EVS.
There's probably there's been tons of people who've been doing it. They've been saying like, why don't you disavow this person? Why don't you say disavow people like this? Or
that's exactly what they did to me. They were telling everybody to disavow my husband and I. That's
right.
Legit. Yeah, they do that.
What offense did they claim that you were perpetrating? Because I can't imagine
being too offensive, which at the time was just basically supporting Trump. Like that's why it was so confusing, was because, and here's where I think that I realized something since I started doing these live streams, because I would show my portfolio to everybody. I was really assertive, even in Marvel. But it didn't occur to me until this whole Comicsgate stuff that the first two pieces in my portfolio were one of Trump, and the second page was the Batgirl 41 homage piece, all my pencils, original nice clean pencils. So right off the bat, I think I just offended everybody.
Yeah,
but I didn't know it. And because it was so confusing. It was so confusing because my husband sometimes would go around too and talk to people, because he knew people from back when he was a kid and would go to cons, so they knew him. And he'd be like, hey, my wife, is an artist now. Look at her stuff. And he'd show them some things on his phone. And then they'd have this conversation of like, oh, wow, yeah, get her over here. Talk to me right now. I'm going to hire her for a project. Okay. Then he would come get me and said, babe, I got you a job. These people want to talk to you. Come talk to them. I'd go talk to them. Boom. Portfolio open. Trump and Batgirl. And it was like they got a bad taste in their mouth right away. I couldn't figure it out. I always wondered why. It was so confusing. They would be so ready to give me a job. And then immediately, somewhere along the line of just me showing my portfolio, and then at the end of the conversation, something changed. I was given a cold shoulder immediately, and then they would never call. And so stuff like that.
That Trump derangement syndrome is a hell of a drug.
It is. And then they would all talk amongst each other. Like my publisher, they were really gossipy, and they all go to shows together every other weekend. So it's like, hey, friend, hey, buddy, and they're all pals, like high school again, right? Yeah. And they all go, did you hear this? Did you hear that? And they would gossip. So it got around. And then next thing I know, I had people, like I had a good friend that worked in DC on DC stuff, and he straight up said, I can't even be seen with you in public.
Yeah.
Because DC doesn't approve of my relationship with you. Watch that video,
the
that I posted.
professional
That goes in a little bit more detail,
thing.
but that's pretty much it, guys. Like, I don't understand the things that are going on around today, like Robbie Rodriguez sending EVS that picture, stuff like that, man.
The thing is, I've had issues with comic books for a few years, like probably right about about a year or a few months, even before my channel even started. And this channel was just just a gameplay channel, and I never really talked about it very much, but at least not initially. And over the course of a long time, comic books just seemed to be getting progressively worse, and I started to decide, like, you know what, I've got this YouTube page, I might as well, discuss my problems, and most of them were just like simple, basic, harmless things. I wasn't overtly angry, and I try not to be. And it's mainly just me critiquing the work and critiquing the creators and saying, hey, maybe don't do this. I mean, some of my favorite videos I did was things like, what was it? Like, the morally bankrupt, Spider-Man is morally bankrupt now. That was probably one of my favorite videos to do. I know that Doug Ernst really liked that one. And like arguing about Dan Slott and other assorted things. But the problem is that, like Doug and a bunch of others, and myself included, we warned them that things would escalate and get worse if things were not changed. We tried to warn, top people, creators, writers, like, hey, don't do this. This is alienating the audience. It's making things worse. And and even from me just like talking about stuff like that, I could see the type of alienation happening, not just with the creators who, they're in their ivory tower and they don't care, but also with fans themselves as well. Because it's like I couldn't even have, basic discussions with some people without them, calling me names and whatnot, because I just strongly disagreed with them on something. And most of my complaints weren't even politically motivated. It's just like quality and wanting better books.
Yeah, merit.
That's all it takes, man. I mean, I can't even ask Gil a simple question. And like these guys, I lost my train of thought. But oh yeah, you know how we were talking about earlier, how they told me that if you get a following online, we'll hire you, but only then. And I talked to some veterans on in show floors that have been in the industry for years, and they also said, it's a shame that they go on Instagram and they look at your Instagram following. And I had shows, like really big conventions, following my Facebook page, emailing me sometimes saying, what did you say? Like,
what did you do?
That. Conventions, like big name conventions. I'm not going to go tell you which ones. But yeah, I mean, and it's a shame. And so now you think, okay, so they're so concerned about their online presence, and then you get a troll. Even if that troll doesn't even buy comics and they're just there to just cause a fuss, automatically the company assumes that that's bad advertising, and they just drop you like fly. They don't want anything to do with you. So you get one troll, and then you're like a plague, and they just spit you out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. They're too stupid to understand that people, not everybody who's online, all those trolls, even on my thread right now that, are trolling me about Gale, they don't really buy comics.
Well, we have no real solid evidence if they do or not.
Oh, I know. And I know because I had my own comic shop, right? So I would see the demographics of people coming in. And I used to work in marketing, measuring demographics and selling to certain audiences of people. I'm telling you, and I'm going to post this video of me talking about Gale, and I go through the tweets and I show you kind of the people that are trolling. None of those people buy comics. They don't. They just don't.
It's kind of a twofold interesting phenomenon, because a lot of these people are straight up ideological, social justice, postmodern types who don't even believe artistic merit exists fundamentally. And these people also tend to be in the intersection of people who don't like capitalism all that much. So are we really all that surprised that they don't like supporting things through capitalism? because they don't believe in capitalism.
I find it kind of ironic that a lot of the comic book creators at places like, especially at Marvel, it's like when you got what's his name, Bob Iger, who's the CEO of Marvel, or the top guy, even higher than Joe, and he's a Trump supporter, and clearly he likes capitalism and money, and yet these people keep taking a paycheck from him.
These people who actively denounce capitalism and are declare it as a thing that exists.
It's like you do realize who you work for, right? Or who at the end of the day is paying your bills. Maybe you shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you. Of course, granted, I don't think he even cares. He's not, day-to-day operation guy. He's just the guy who's, got the money in the capital.
Yeah.
And he puts the money in where he wants to.
It's hypocritical.
Hello.
It's the same.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing as like the whole fridging thing, how they talk about depowering, whatever, depowering women.
Killing or depowering of women.
De-empowering. So isn't demasculating men the same exact thing that they are complaining that they do to women? Aren't you putting men in a fridge by demasculating them?
Well,
yes.
Their logic goes that because historically society was allegedly catered to the male perspective, demasculinizing or depowering men is just a historical balancing of the scales. Is how their logic goes.
I talked to the one female creator that called me a slut shamer because I didn't like Miley Cyrus. She said that same sort of thing. She was talking about the sexual revolution and feminism, and she said that, well, as women, we need to expose ourselves more and let people touch our bodies and stuff like that. Like with endorsing what Miley Cyrus did at a concert one time, because Miley Cyrus got a little crazy. And I was all, you really want your daughter to be watching that on TV? And she's like, well, men do it, so we can do it because that's just karma biting them in the butt. We deserve it.
It boils down to a model of history called the Hegelian dialectic. I'm not sure if you're in any way familiar with it. I did a video on this a while ago.
I'm not familiar. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Where basically everything boils down to a dichotomy between one positive pole and one negative pole, which usually translates in human systems to oppressor and oppressed. They can't conceive of a non-oppressed state of being. They have to shell everything into an oppressed dichotomy or an oppressor dichotomy.
That's fascinating. I love that. That's so true. That's exactly my theory is that they just don't know how to be happy, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the going theory for a lot of people.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Keep going if you want.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time. I did a 2-part video on sort of what's wrong with postmodernism as a philosophy, and I'll send you the link after the stream is done if you want to check it out.
Please, that's very cool. I have a sitting duck kind of theory of everything in the back of my head. I really like science, and I wanted to be a scientist. Believe it or not, I wanted to be like the Big Bang Theory, like Sheldon. That was my dream. Besides doing art, I like doing art, but when I got old enough to realize that as an artist, that it pretty much means you're also starving. I couldn't afford to be starving, so I never thought about pursuing a career much. But I think that's fascinating. Please do send it to me. I'll check it out. Yeah. These live streams and YouTube stuff is really cool. I'm just getting immersed in all of it. There's so much happening on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
I think another thing too that people do is go ahead.
No, I was reading chat. Samurai Raccoon. It's like I probably could have sent Nightwolf a request to be invited had I known he was streaming this. Well, Samurai Raccoon, if you want to hop in, you're more than welcome to. I can send you the link if I hop on Twitter real quick. I'll let everybody else that If I can get the Twitter page to work, there it is. I'll let Dalton and Mindy continue to entertain you while I do this.
La 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 la. Entertainment. Jazz hands. Now I do gotta go probably in like 15-ish minutes, just so you know.
Okay.
I hear
All right.
my kid going, mom. So mama, aw.
Oh, there's Samurai Raccoon.
We'll
Yeah.
get
Okay.
there.
Well, then with about 15 minutes, then I'll let you have the floor. You can talk about Gale if you want, because that's probably where we're going to end up going anyway. And Gale, our favorite lady.
Well, I'll just say, I kind of wrap that into two main points, and one of them is, as an advocator against such domestic abuse like fridging, I think it's ironic that she uses her Twitter platform to abuse others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That doesn't make sense. That's not what I would consider someone who would be dedicated to a cause of protecting women in the best interest of them to use their voice for. I thought it was interesting too, just as an observation of the whole thing, that it became that I was a villain, right? Because I asked a question with ill intent. So what that means is that these people, even though the whole definition of debating an argument is that two people come from different sides, I guess that's just not allowed anymore. It's wrong.
Well, you're not allowed to outside of their dichotomy. That's why they always do the straw manning thing, where they will assume that if you disagree with them, you disagree with them directly in opposition to what they believe. I.e., if you're not a feminist, you must therefore be against equality, because that's what my definition of feminism is, and that sort of thing. Because they cannot conceive that their axis is in some way ill-founded. That's why the easiest way to catch these people out is to point out that their dichotomy is false.
Right.
If they'll listen. And that's the very definition of a snowflake too, right? Is someone that takes everything so personally, that can't handle the pressure of a debate like that. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what my intention was. Hello, whoever joined the group.
That would be Samurai Raccoon.
Yeah. Now I remember who. Yeah, now I remember who you are. Now I remember who you are. You're the one who had that discussion with Gail Simone, and she was all like, "How dare you think you're entitled to answer me," or something like that. When all you were, when I read the because I had actually read the tweet myself, and it sounded pretty civil to me. I have no earthly clue as to what those other people in that particular thread were going on about.
Don't know.
Neither did I.
You just wanted to answer a simple question. I don't understand what is so hard about sending a link to.
But that's kind of an interesting variable as well. If you are one of the nominated protected classes that they have, they will come down on you harder for disagreeing with them, because to them, it makes a certain degree of sense that a straight white cisgendered male would disagree with them, because they consider all ideas to be variants of identity. So all ideas are caused by a person's identity. So if you are a woman, for example, and you disagree with feminism, or you disagree with a particular feminist, that is you betraying the idea of womanhood. Or if I for example, as a bisexual person and a disabled person disagree with them, that's me betraying the idea of bisexuality and the idea of my disability.
Yes. I remember that the next time. I remember that if Quasar ever calls me a coon or an Uncle Tom.
Yeah, it's basically his way of accusing you of being black wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to know who put Gail in charge of the woman parade.
I have no idea. The comic book industry.
Yeah, I think they have their own little section that they're put in charge of. Max is in charge of the trans department. Gail's apparently in charge of the female department. I guess it's between either Kwanzaa or Coates, who is in charge of the Black People's Department. And
we can't forget Gabby Rivera is in charge of the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how they just have to appoint somebody to a head? It does seem that way, though. For a person, they just can't see people as people.
Yeah, they see them as avatars of whatever quality they're supposed to be exemplifying. So a feminist is the avatar of womanhood. A LGBT activist is the avatar of gayness. A Black Lives Matter supporter is the avatar of blackness, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not a department store, people.
What?
We're not a department store.
I equate the whole situation about Gail getting so mad that I asked her a question. I dared demand her time.
I personally thought it was funny that they said that they didn't do any form of coercion or, being rude. I don't believe that, some of the intention was truly evil, but the problem is that with Gail and with pretty much in general that entire website is it misses the point of what heroism is supposed to be about, which is about adversity and, hero's journey. And when you if characters don't have an adversity, because I remember this from like when my brother and me when we used to play in the yard and we used to like come up with like stories for characters and stuff. That was one of the first things he ever told me was we need conflict because conflict then needs to be resolved.
Yeah.
And because it's part of storytelling, and he had a drama teacher that was very passionate about that type of stuff. And they don't.
It's like they want to be. It's like they want to portray themselves as these overcomers, but they don't want anything to overcome. It doesn't work that way.
That sounds entitled to me.
And I think the thing that was actually kind of funny is when I was talking to one of these people, they were talking about, like, I asked the question, why is it that, there isn't a whole lot of context or explanation for the adversities that these female characters are going for? But when I go to the, Men Defrosted page, which is the polar opposite, why is theirs more deep? They say, oh, it's just math. They just have more books and whatnot. It's like, but adversity is the same for everybody. There's no difference. Doesn't matter how many comic books Spider-Man has. It doesn't mean that his adversity is any less important than like
because they have to boil everything down to oppression based on demographics and identities rather than individualism or individual qualities, because they refuse to see the individual. They see collectives serving a larger construct.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? If you study psychology at all, or you read some psychology books, it's amazing because narcissists and sociopaths, right, who become serial killers, if you do any criminal, whatever it's called, criminal psychology, thank you. Yeah. Then you know that one of the first signs is lack of empathy for others, right? Hurting animals and stuff like that. So when you look at people like Gail Simone and you see them just attacking like Peter Simeti, who has a work in progress from a year ago, it's not even valid. Do you think that if she has any kind of empathy for Peter, like she's a creative person, shouldn't she understand what it's like to have a work in progress a year ago? I mean, that shows lack of empathy for me. The behavior is off. And then narcissists have problems with their own personal identities. That's what makes a narcissist. That's what makes their head so big, is because they don't understand like even who they are. So they are everything. Their world is all about them, and it's all personal, and they're very sensitive in a way because they take on the traits of others, and they absorb them, and they make everyone else into them. It's really weird.
Is that why they feel the need to be validated by others?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because they don't know how to validate themselves. They have a lack of any kind of core of a human being. They seriously don't know. They do not know, and they have no empathy either. So it just builds on itself, and they truly do. They adopt the traits of other people. One sociopath that I dated in particular, it was very weird. He was going through issues of sexual identity, which I supported him through it at the time. But he was kind of a narcissist and he had problems with his own identity, his own just person, right? And I caught him one time because I always wore a particular scarf, put on my iPad and my hat or something like that, and I listened to the song. I caught him one time. I said, "Hey, can you bring me my scarf, my iPod or whatever, because I forgot it." He brought it to me, and you know what he was doing? He was wearing it all. He had my scarf on, my hat on, and my playlist playing my song. And I asked him, what are you doing? That's a little bit silly. And he said, "I want to know what it's like to be you."
Creepy.
That is very creepy.
I can tell you so many creepy stories. This has been my life. So yeah, it's kind of, I watch people like Gail, and I think that person has absolutely no empathy for her fellow human being. And
this is the hilarious thing though about it. Social justice and those types of ideologies actually feed on excess empathy. So it's not that these people don't have empathy.
Right.
It's that they've taxed it to such a point that it basically short circuits itself.
Like a vampire, like they're just sucking you dry. Yes.
Because when you try to force yourself to care about literally everyone and everything, you spread yourself too thin to the point that eventually you will have to find someone that you don't have to be empathetic for just to get your frustrations out on.
That's exactly right. That's why people like. Oh, go ahead.
That's basically what social justice is. It's feeding on empathy to such a point that it tethers any conception of someone's empathy to this ideology. And then when someone runs afoul of the ideology, that basically convinces these people that those people aren't worthy of empathy because they've conflated in their minds the concept of empathy itself with their ideology.
Exactly.
So
they have
if someone runs afoul of their ideology, they don't have to give you empathy, even if they could.
Yeah, everything is super personal.
Yeah, they make everything personal.
They're terrible business people.
If you just look at what happened to like DNC, whether you love or hate him, you know, the fact that they tried to make it personal by going into his history and finding out stuff about him, like finding out his service record or, you know, his relationship with his, you know, ex-wife or anything of that nature. And
or his child support records.
Or his child support records, anything of that nature. It's like, why are you digging into this type of stuff?
Isn't that insane? I said people do similar things to me.
Creepy.
You know, after that thing with Gail, you know what we got a message, my husband and I, that said that our baby was ugly.
It's like, have you seen the child first? You're supposed to know what they look like first.
They went on my husband's Facebook and they saw his profile picture with
okay. Yeah.
And they wrote him a message that said, "You're ugly and so is your baby."
Ouch.
Because I asked Gail a question. That's the only thing I did. And they made it that personal that they had to attack a baby. Really? It made me laugh. We laughed about it. But yeah. I don't doubt that for the slightest. There's a stalker mentality.
Yeah. Oh no, it's definitely stalkerish behavior for some of them. It's kind of interesting. I've had those types of people before in my feed. I know that there was at least one who would on it. I haven't seen him in a long time. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen him, but he'd show up and then he'd be digging through my feed because one of them was someone, I don't remember who on Twitter, but someone showed a picture for the city of Portland, which is not that far from where I live, and it was, I don't remember. It was some really stupid billboard saying something about, you know, social progress or some nonsense of that nature. I don't even remember. But this guy actually had to go back in my feed from like, I don't know, probably about several days ago to complain about the fact that I did this. I'm like, what in the hell are you talking about? It's like, I said I was embarrassed for the state in which I live in. It's like they're making me look bad. Mm-hmm. And it's mainly a joke. It's not really, because I just sometimes have natural sarcastic tendencies to just make jokes about whatever I feel like.
And that's something that is a very common attribute in abusers and narcissists and sociopaths, is when they bring up old stuff to push you down in the present. They will never let you off the hook for something. They'll find something about you and then they will drill it into your head, and they'll so much so that it makes you insecure about whatever they're talking about. And then they'll build a false reality around that so that whenever they want to put you down, when you're feeling a little too confident and they think they might lose control of you, they'll remind you.
And these people wonder why we don't put out our actual names or photographs or any other personal information, because it's very easy to get doxxed by doing that.
Yeah, it's the reason why a lot of people don't show their faces. Definitely the reason why Captain Frugal doesn't. I've shown my face on camera, so it's a little late for that at this point.
Yeah,
and
I use my real name, and back in the beginning of my making appearances online, I used to use an actual picture of myself, so everyone knows what I look like.
It's like, but I'm not too concerned. I have a metal baseball bat nearby.
and I'm not concerned in the sense that I don't really have anything worth like taking away. So good luck with that.
Well, I would expect that if someone were to try to do something to me, it's like, well, if I got a type of legitimate threat like that, guess what? The cops are being called immediately. It's like, I'm not even going to entertain you, even remotely. It's like, nope, I'm calling the police to let them know. Even if they can't find you, I'm reporting it.
Well, fortunately, most people like that are actually cowards. So they don't carry those things out themselves. They just sit behind a keyboard. And that's touching again on the topic about Marvel being and other companies being way too concerned about what happens online, is because a lot of these people...
they're only concerned. The thing is, though, they're only concerned about what the consumers are doing. They're not interested in... They're not really interested. I see what you guys are doing in chat. Clever bastards. I don't... What were we talking about? I just lost my thought.
People online.
Yeah.
Well, I got to get going too. I hear
go ahead.
Time to go for me. Is there anything real quick you guys want to touch? Sorry to interrupt and be abrasive and all that.
No,
it's okay. Family stuff calls.
Yeah.
What's your Twitter so I can follow you?
Just
in the description box.
At Mindy Wheeler Art.
Yeah, Dalton, it's in the description.
Okay. Never mind.
You can click on both of them.
Because that's how I found her and followed her. And I'm now following her.
Yeah.
Good.
Alrighty.
Hey, you guys have been really awesome. Like, this is exactly the kind of conversation that my husband and I would have with all of our customers in our comic shop all the time. And so it's really cool to actually be having those conversations again with people. You know?
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure was all mine. Too. All right, take it easy, guys.
Yeah, have a good one.
Cheers.
You too.
Yep. Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. Yes. Well, that was Mindy Wheeler, guys. The info to her YouTube channel and to her Twitter is in the description below. If you feel like following her, if you want to talk to her more, feel free to. She seems to be a lovely lady.
Yeah, when she brought the whole Gail Simone thing, I was like, wait a minute. I remember now. She's the one who asked her that question.
She's the one who asked the question. Yeah. Let's see. A lot of narcissists in LA art gallery scene. Went to lots of galleries talking about the evil elites, poor and social issues while drinking wine and eating food. Outside door, dozens of homeless people. Basically.
That's not really narcissism. That is just an elitist bubble.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now back to He-Man Woman Haters Club. Hey, this is
I don't think Underground Geek is gonna like you comparing this little chat to his little He-Man Woman Haters thing.
Yeah, I don't think that he would approve of that. I haven't watched his content or talked to him in a while.
Yeah. Even though he hasn't put out a video in a long time because issues.
I don't know what issues he could be going through. So.
I don't think
I don't know either. But
the guy, if I'm honest.
Issues.
What, Dalton?
I said I don't think I've ever even talked to the guy, if I'm honest.
I barely interacted with him. there was some issues that happened a while back, but it involved a few people, and then I had to talk to what was it, Super Dark Water and Fat Panther, and just for simply asking questions and trying to figure out what the hell was going on and why they were creating issues of some sort, or they were, expressing some sort of problem. I got really confused, and I had to go all the way to Weaponize to figure out what the hell was going on. And I'm like, you guys could have just told me this. It's really not that difficult. And instead, you're doubles. One of them was, of course, the dumbass who I've had issues with before, which would be Kill Slam. And it's just like, you're giving me nothing but double speak and nonsense. It's like, I'm asking a simple question. Oh, yes, him. Love that troll. Not really. I hate him. And I'm not afraid to say that I don't like him. Come at me, bro. I mean, every time it was funny because I think he had an older Twitter account beforehand. And when the Heather Antos stuff happened and I was having I had a live stream with a bunch of people. And I think I believe it was probably my Comic War Cometh live stream. And after the fact, I find out, about later in the next day, this guy's posting really creepy, weird stuff about Heather Antos and whatnot. And I'm like, I just don't want to be a part of this, nonsense. It's like, I don't know how I got tagged in here. I don't know what happened. But it's like, this is not I'm not interested in this shit. Take it elsewhere. If that's on your Twitter page, I don't care, but don't involve me in it because I don't want to be involved in it. And that goes for pretty much everyone else who was on the stream. They were like, no, we don't approve of this and we don't want to talk about it. We don't have a problem, saying Heather Antos is lying, or we would like to see more proper evidence, but we're not interested in someone who's stalking her. Very creepy. Not interested. And then I blocked him. And then I think it was someone else. I think it was Super Darkwater or someone who was like, hey, he wants to talk to you. I'm like, fine. Okay. Unblock him. Talk to him in DMs. And it's nothing but a bunch of double speak, reading between the lines, and then potentially sharing it on his Twitter account, the private conversation we were having. I'm like, and he actually thought that I was going to share it first. I'm like, you clearly don't know me very well, do you?
No.
It's like, I try my best not to share private conversations if I can help it. I respect people's privacy. If it's a private conversation, I respect that. Hello, Elijah. How are you? Just stopping by for a bit? Well, that's completely fine. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Also, Elijah, thank you for the incredibly long Steven Universe video the other day, but you did inadvertently result in me staying up till like 4 a.m, so also fuck you. Yeah, he tells me about this Steven Universe video he's doing, and I think after I had already gotten out of a stream, I'll just go and I'll watch his video before bed. 1 hour later, because it was an hour-long goddamn video.
I think he warned everybody I think he warned everyone it was an hour long.
Well, he didn't warn me when he was telling me about it in the chat of Comics Division's. I think it was Comics Division's stream that this happened on, and then immediately after it, I decided to watch the video. That was a mistake to do at like 3 a.m. because it was 4 by the time I was finished.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. I'm really not big into Steven Universe. I'm just waiting for Elijah to talk about more manga stuff. So, and then I'll probably have to go check because I haven't seen anything in my feed in a long time, so I'll have to go and double check that. So
YouTube might have secretly unverified you for his notifications or something.
They've unverified me for wrong thing. for asking too many questions.
How dare you? We don't need questions. What do you think this is, a democracy?
So I don't think we've ever had Samurai Raccoon on my channel before. So how you doing, man?
Oh no, just fine. I had just gotten in from eating when I caught your stream.
Well, I appreciate it.
Saw that you had Mindy on there.
Yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it. Is there anything you would like to discuss and talk about while we're on air?
Well, I had just gotten a script from a friend of mine who has what it looks like to be another Batman type hero comic. Of course, at least that's what they told me when they described it. But when I looked at the script, I'm thinking, this is more Mask of the Phantasm than Batman, but it works.
It fits. It's still part of his universe.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Also, someone needs to do more with the Phantasm. The Phantasm is an awesome character.
I agree. I'd like to see the Phantasm return.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool that it turned that the Phantasm wasn't who I thought it was be, but it had this creepy deep voice to make it to kind of fool you.
Yeah, voice modifier to make it sound like it's a man. It's a clever way of hiding the true identity of a villain. Or any type of antagonist for that matter. You could probably use that in probably several different forms and scenarios. It's like, hey, make it ambiguous. It's like you don't know if it sounds like a man. It could be a man. Looks like one. Oh no, it's actually a lady.
Yeah.
2 hours long. Holy moly. Really?
A really attractive lady. Yeah, a really attractive lady. How are you hiding your breasts under that costume?
Lots of tape.
And how do you make your?
Well,
and how are you making your?
And she must robe, have. So.
Yeah.
I think it's also like just a padded suit. Does wonders.
Yeah, she must have gotten like some kind of Rob Liefeld style shoulder pads because that costume makes her look like she has the same shoulder thing that the new She-Ra has.
I was gonna say it makes her look more like she's Batman because he has broad shoulders in that art style too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did anyone see the last episode of Adventure Time? And if you do, what did you think? I don't watch Adventure Time.
And
just like I don't watch
catch up on it, so there's that.
Yeah. I never watched Adventure Time, plus I don't have Cartoon Network anymore.
Anyone talk about the DC elephant in the room, namely the rumor about Cavill no longer being Superman? We haven't talked about it. We can.
Yeah, they're gonna. I think Michael.
Actually, I think
is gonna be Superman now.
It was a rumor, but it turns out the rumor was actually recently just dispelled. I saw it on Twitter from someone else actually saying like, no, Cavill has been signed to do another Superman movie.
I hope so because like DC is finally getting its shit together. It would be really sad if he didn't get a chance to play a proper Superman.
Yeah. It's like Black Superman is like, well, I mean, we know we have like alternate universe Supermans who are black and whatnot. It's like, okay, that's fine. I guess if we were starting from a new age or whatnot, or if we were going to be doing an Elseworld story or something like that, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, cool. Maybe we do like what was Peter J. Tomasi did a storyline early in the Superman run. What was it called? Multiplicity? Where Superman met with several different variations of himself from other Earths. Even like the Bugs Bunny version of himself.
You sure you're not thinking of Multiversity?
Oh, I was trying to remember what it was called title-wise. Multiversity might actually be the actual title. I don't remember. It's been a while since I read it. But yeah, you could definitely do something like that and just have multiple different Supermen.
Jeez. It sounds like the Superman equivalent to the Spider-Verse.
True, but it was done better.
Yeah.
It was actually done really well. and establishing that, you know, the DC multiverse is still alive and well, and showing characters that haven't been seen in DC Comics in a very long time, especially the rabbit version of Superman from another Earth. I don't think anyone has seen that character in ages.
Unless they happen to be a Bugs Bunny fan.
Yeah. When I hear this clickbait because Cavill had scheduling conflicts and playing in Shazam, not that he didn't want to do it. My guess on Jordan Rumor is to bait people, probably. So it's probably just, from what I saw, it turns out that it's nonsense and it's just bait to probably get all them clicks and to outrage people. In my opinion, all you should read the newsstand.
Doesn't surprise me. Then they can just write another article saying that those awful people out there don't like the idea of a black Superman, even though it was done already with Meteor Man.
Yeah. And well, I mean, somebody one of the artists was sharing the picture of the black Superman from one of the alternate Earths. I don't remember his name. I think his name is Elzad or something of that nature. I think. Oh yeah, he's from Earth 2. It's Earth 2 Superman, and at least this current iteration of Earth 2. And they said that they were thinking of Michael B. Jordan when they did the character. I'm like, I don't know if I buy that. I mean, I guess it's possible, but Michael B. Jordan wasn't really a household name until probably a few years ago. Unless you're really into actors that
the
have
newest
really...
issue of Champions was actually good.
That's a shock.
Mavericks was saying in his opinion that he's recommending the newest issue of Champions, which handled the topic very well.
Isn't that the school shooter episode or issue?
Maverick, a little clarification: is it the school shooter related one, or is it a different issue? Because I think I actually remember Micah Curtis mentioned one of the issues of Champions, probably the one before this current one, probably. He said it wasn't actually too bad. Maybe some people are getting their act together. I don't know.
Mark Waid's no longer working on that book, right?
Yeah.
He was taken off of it?
Yeah, he stopped doing it. It's a new team now, I think. I don't know who the team is, so I can't say for certain if it's people who have said horrible things or have shown their ass. I will be on a Tagashi level hiatus. If only I knew what that means. Seeing the newest chapter of One Punch Man, what I decide to do next, I don't know. No, that's fine. I didn't get the reference. I apologize. If they get rid of the best Superman since Christopher Reeve and Dean Cain. Plus, Cavill is my number one husband of the movie superhero actors.
Really?
Well,
I would think Chris Evans' Captain America would be up there.
Well, at least Miranya's favorite seems to be Henry Cavill, so you can fight her over it later.
Right.
Yes, the school shooting subject. I wasn't being specific because I didn't want to spoil the comic. Oh, no, that's fine. I don't read Marvel comics. You should know this by now, Maverick.
Yeah, the only thing Marvel I'm reading nowadays are Dance / Fantastic Four, which has been surprisingly good so far. Spectacular and Coates' Captain America, which I was surprised has also been good.
Some people might disagree with that. I don't know. Well, actually, no. Somebody said that at least issue 3 was actually not that bad. So if Coates can, stay focused and whatnot and actually write a superhero story, I'd be completely fine with that. Whether or not it sells or not is another matter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tagashi is the creator of Hunter x Hunter. Ah, that would make sense. Yes, he does go on constant hiatus. I know that. Chris Evans got bumped down to number 2 because of Cavill.
She really likes Gavel.
Yeah.
I would flip that, but that's just me.
The manga is continuing again. Yes. Hunter x Hunter is actually really good. I like that one. I actually want to read the manga itself. I've only watched part of the show, which I've actually enjoyed, so I want to read the manga too. Probably to avoid all the filler. What else could we potentially talk about? Have I covered the Gail Simone situation enough? No, I think I don't really know. I think that entire website is a waste of time. So what is there anything else that you guys are interested in discussing?
Nothing particularly springs to mind.
I could check Twitter and see if there's any drama going on.
Yeah.
Oh joy. Drama.
I kid.
Yeah.
I try to be as drama free as possible.
Yeah, I just wanted to beat the lady behind the Gail Simone tweet.
Oh. Yeah, I think she's very nice. She's been really friendly towards me. I would say that maybe she might be a bit of assertive, but that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a bad thing, but to me, nah, that's not a problem. And I appreciate that she shared it. That's nice.
Does
no,
anyone
Professor
in chat have any topics that they'd like to see us cover?
Yes, please. Feed me anything at this point. I'm slowly dying. I'm kidding. If there's anything you guys want to talk about, considering who my favorite superhero is, you'd be surprised when his portrayer lands on the list. Is High Guardian Spice an anime? Well, that depends on your definition of what an anime is. Of course, to me, anime is just the shortened Japanese word for animation. So in that regard, yes. Because every time they release like a Disney film in Japan, it's called an anime. So any form of animation could be considered an anime if you want to go down that road. I haven't actually discussed the Crunchyroll situation. I was going to about a week ago, but I had stuff to do, so I didn't get a chance. For new creators, if they were to create a new IP and it appeared that they found great success with SJW, should they pander to them or ignore them since they may just be a vocal minority?
I deal with ignore just on principle.
Yeah. It's the problem is like if you pander to anybody, it's just not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as like with Vox Day and or anybody who panders to more right-leaning inclinations. It's going to end in a bad product no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, no, ideological slants are bullshit. Art should exist for its own sake and not be anyone's means to an end.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if Mother's Basement would think so. Probably not, but let's be completely honest. Mother's Basement is kind of a shill. So,
yeah.
I actually was kind of hoping and waiting for him to jump in and with a giant shield and sword and defend the honor of his benefactor of money, Crunchyroll. As far as I know, he hasn't. So, which surprises me considering how much he's defended the company over the years. Quite interesting. Well, from what I understood of Crunchyroll and whatnot, there's several different problems. Maybe I'll make that a live stream later on another day. Maybe when I have a better setup, because right now I am literally holding a snowball microphone this entire time while we've been live streaming. and alternating hands. I'm not free-handed here. But in general, Crunchyroll screwed up, kind of. But we'll discuss that maybe at another time. I want to get some more anime related people involved. If I'm gonna do that, probably bring my buddy Rabbit in to talk about it. Best movie portrayal is my number 5 on the list. Cumberbatch, Eric. Okay.
Wait,
good night.
Portraying who? Because
probably Doctor Strange. So she has been talking. She's been talking a lot about superhero husbands. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Elijah. Yes, bring me more manga videos. I demand it. Cater to my needs, damn it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm fine with the
I need to start getting
content. So go ahead with that. Especially because it just got interesting finally. Like between like That Will Be All or A Single Pale Rose and Legs from Here to Homeworld, it actually bothered to expedite the plot faster than like 5 seasons of the show up until the. There's so much filler in Steven Universe. It's ridiculous.
I wouldn't know about that. The only fillers I understand are fillers for like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. That's the extent of my filler knowledge. At least from what I can remember, where it's like, oh yeah, this is very clearly, obviously filler. Although I think that from when I watched the original run on Dragon Ball Z, I think some of that filler actually was pretty good. Like the episodes of Gohan training by himself out in the wilderness. I thought those were actually pretty decent episodes. Like the one where he met the robot, or the one when he met the kids from the orphanage. I thought those were actually pretty good episodes. For filler, it didn't feel like a filler episode. It felt like actually part of his training.
Yeah, it's better when the filler doesn't quite feel like filler.
Yeah. Which is why when I saw Dragon Ball Z Kai, I was like, kind of miss those other episodes, damn it. Dalton, who would your choice be to play Doctor Strange? Eric Breen is asking.
This is an interesting question. Honestly, assuming that he was still alive and well, I would go with Heath Ledger. But bearing in mind that he's not alive and well, I actually thought that Joaquin Phoenix was a good choice back when he was rumored to be playing the role, and then he bitched out like a bitch. Also,
I could see that potentially working.
Daniel Day-Lewis would be a good choice as well. But like this is the thing. In order to do Doctor Strange justice, you need someone who can evoke gravitas, and that is the problem. Benedict Cumberbatch cannot emote to save his life. And given that Doctor Strange's origin is largely tragic in nature, that is a pain in the ass. He is very robotic. Like he approaches like almost Keanu Reeves in the Matrix levels of robotic from time to time, and it really annoys me because of all the characters that you could be playing, you pick the one character that you need to be the least robotic with. Well done. Fuck you.
Yeah. Boruto is filled with filler. Just read the manga. I wasn't going to, but thank you, Maverick. I stopped caring about Naruto quite a long time ago. Right about the end of the Chunin exam is when I stopped caring and I tuned out. Samurai, you have anything to add to the conversation of anything that's just happened over the last few minutes? I eagerly wait.
lose him?
I don't know. Did we?
Well, while we're on the issue of anime, I did just start watching Zeta Gundam, and it looks pretty good so far.
You have no idea the trip you're about to take. To me, it's one of my favorite Gundam series, and I only recently watched it like maybe about 2 years ago, and it instantly rocketed to the top of my list. I was like, I've never watched Zeta Gundam ever. I watch it and I'm like, this is awesome. I actually really like this. And then they ruined it by freaking doing the movie. Don't watch the movie version. Not Char's Counterattack. I'm talking about the Zeta Gundam movie trilogy. Don't ever watch the movie trilogy.
Oh.
They decided to change the end, and I'm not going to spoil that if you're not done, so...
Yeah, I'm only 2 episodes in.
Oh, you're only at the epicenter. Things will get crazy and very, very dark. If it hasn't already. Wait. No, it doesn't get dark until a couple episodes later, I think. First 2 episodes are pretty standard, typical Gundam fare. From what I remember. I want to go back and rewatch it. But I can't. Because a friend has them and I need to go and get them back. Many companies announcing dozens of LGBT characters to pen at SJWs. Is there a market for a IP to be created with the promise of no LGBT characters in its IP? Would we see success, or would it be suicide?
See, I think that would be the wrong conclusion to take from the SJWs. The thing that annoys even those of us that happen to be in the LGBT spectrum about SJW LGBT characters is they are just that, and they are just a means to be quote unquote the gay. It's never a character in its own right. For example, and I keep coming back to this example, Wiccan and Hulkling back in the Young Avengers days were really, really good LGBT characters, and they were really, really great couple. But then you had
both them and the Runaways too.
Yeah,
because the Runaways had them too.
Yeah, but then you had gay convergent Iceman and America Chavez who were ideologically gay. I think backlashing to avoid any gay characters or any black characters or any insert alleged minority here characters would not only be counterproductive and counterintuitive, but would also feed their everyone who we dislike is just a bigot who doesn't like these minorities in any circumstance narrative, and I don't want to feed into that. No. I am a gay person. I don't dislike gayness, but if you're going to do it, don't make it ideologically gay. Just make it a gay character, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Now, that was another. It reminds me of the other video that I really did enjoy from many years ago when I talked about representation, about characters and being represented. It's like you don't need a character to be exactly like you to relate to the character. I relate to Spider-Man. I look nothing like Peter Parker. I don't got spider powers. I'm not at least a twiggy nerd. I'm a fat nerd. There's a big difference. It's like, but I can still relate to him.
Some category of nerd.
Yeah, I can relate to pretty much any character, as long as they are written as a person. Okay, going back to the comments, I saw a comment. It's like waiting for the sequel to Gundam Unicorn. I'm curious about it. I don't know if Gundam Narrative is going to be any good, but it might be. Disagree with Dalton. Cumberbatch did emote and emotes well. I felt sympathy for him when he fell, and when he triumphed, he carried the audience with him. So fooey on you. Says Mariah.
I disagree significantly. To me,
I think she's just playing with you, man.
Yeah, I know. But to me, the person who has most accurate accurately captured Doctor Strange to this point is John Vernon when he played him on the old Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on how Doctor Strange is supposed to work, so I'm staying out of that one.
Yeah. Well, Dalton is our expert on all things Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate. So
yes,
I will leave it to him.
If you want,
he's our residential expert.
If you want to know about Doctor Strange, I can recommend you omnibuses and trades and issues that you can read.
I've never really been all that interested in Doctor Strange. Not that I hate the character or anything. I've just never been all that interested in him. I like Doctor Fate a lot more for some reason. Well, I don't know why.
I think the original incarnation of Dr. Fate is a better character overall. That's why he is my number one character in all comics, whereas Doctor Strange is stuck at number 3. But the problem is, as much as I love Dr. Fate, he has been fucked with for a lot longer. Ever since the institution of the possession retcon, that character has been nigh unreadable.
Dolph Lundgren for Doctor Strange.
So clearly someone wants to give me a brain aneurysm of rage, and we're moving and we're moving and we're moving away from
that. Eric, thank you for that.
That's an interesting transition. That's an interesting transition from He-Man to Doctor Strange.
I want to see Dolph Lundgren in a Doctor Strange costume now. I don't know why.
And
just
we're
for
moving,
fun.
and we're moving, and we're moving for the sake of my sanity away from the ledge.
Nah, okay, fine. You just don't want to have any fun.
I never claimed to be a fun person.
Are you saying that you don't want to play along with chat? They're the audience.
The chat is trying to give me a brain aneurysm. I don't.
But I like playing with chat.
Marilyn Manson as Doctor Strange or Fate?
Who?
Maranya apparently thinks that Marilyn Manson should be Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate.
He could actually work as Strange. I do not think he could work as Kent Nielsen, Doctor Fate, though. Although it would have to be a slightly younger Marilyn Manson, because obviously now he's a bit too old.
Yeah. And now that we've triggered Dalton, I had an idiot friend tell me for 30 years that Dolph Lundgren would have made a better Batman than Michael Keaton. Your friend probably doesn't know what Batman is.
All right.
Yeah, that's the most rational conclusion to draw from that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, this is the same guy. This is the same guy who couldn't even do a good He-Man. Do you really expect him to do a good Batman?
Yeah, no. Also, why did no one cast Arnold as He-Man in the Masters of the Universe movie? Why was that not the first port of call?
Because he was Conan.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
You're proposing that as a reason he couldn't be He-Man, but in my opinion, that is
I'm saying that's probably the reason why. I was just saying that's probably the reason why they didn't, or why he wasn't interested. Because he'd already basically, probably because he felt like maybe the characters were too similar, and then people would probably confuse him for He-Man or vice versa.
Then again, when has that ever stopped Arnie before? I'm convinced that people just didn't ask.
Yeah, the character he played in the Red Sonja movie was pretty much Conan.
I did say he was an idiot. He just hated Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton is an awesome Batman. A bit more of a deranged Batman, but he's a good Batman.
Yes.
I think that he plays into the more crazier and little bit more crazier element of Batman. I mean, when you're a guy who's like shattering plates while you're Bruce Wayne is saying, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts."
Let's get nuts.
Yeah. His Batman was a lot more restrained than Christian Bale's.
Yeah.
Are we talking about in speech pattern or in what he was doing?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I could see that. There's a bit more restraint.
I mean, sure, Michael Keaton's Batman killed a lot more people, but still.
Yeah.
Seems to be the case with almost every Batman incarnation of film. He's killing somebody. Either indirectly or directly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. He's still my favorite. That's okay. I think Keaton's probably like my second favorite Batman.
After Kevin Conroy?
Yeah. Kevin Conroy is my favorite Batman.
Yeah.
There's
a certain amount of argument for that, them being the same incarnation, technically. So
could be.
Well, the Batman animated series did borrow a lot of elements from the Burton film, so you have that.
Yeah. I wouldn't argue against that because you can see it.
I mean, even Bruce's version of the Penguin was pretty much drawn after Danny DeVito's portrayal of him, which makes me throw up every time I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely took inspiration from each other, or from the Keaton films. And I think that worked out in the show's favor.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm like reading a comic book or something with Batman in it, Kevin Conroy's voice is the only thing I'm hearing.
It's kind of like whenever I read a Dr. Fate comic and Oded Freyr's voice is the voice I hear.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do the same with like almost every character.
Yeah. In most cases, I do hear the Kevin Conroy voice, but when it's Dark Knight Returns, it's Michael Ironsides.
Yeah, I could see that. If that. Yeah. I think it depends on like what variation of Batman we're looking at.
Yeah.
I could see like a more gruffer and more angrier type of voice coming out of the Dark Knight.
Yeah. I mean, even in Justice League, even in the New Frontier comics, it's very hard to read it and hear Kevin Conroy's voice because it's not the same Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you go all the way back to the Silver Age, you're basically asking for the voice of Adam West because that incarnation was very, very Silver Age.
Yeah, I think that like I know that when it comes to like Joker for me, it's like it's always going to be
always going to be Mark Hamill. Yeah.
I can't think of it. Doesn't matter what iteration of the character it is. If it isn't Mark Hamill, I'm like. At least actually no, because in some of the animated films when they've picked up other voice actors to do the character, they aren't bad. They're actually pretty good.
They're just not Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill is.
Well, I mean, when I'm reading a comic book and the Joker is in it, it's always going to be him, and it's not going to be the other guys, even though they do excellent work.
Yeah. It's like when I read. It's like when I read the Wolverine comic, Steve Blum's voice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Or
and I mean the actual Wolverine comic, not S23 trying to be Ryan.
Huh? What'd you say, Samurai?
Oh, and I mean the actual Wolverine comic, not X-23 dressing up as him.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit weird if you heard Steve Blum's voice through that. I'd be like, you may want to see a therapist.
Yeah.
It's a bit. No, now I actually want to see somebody do that. I want to see someone do a Steve Blum impression, but with X-23 instead. Now I just want to see that. I don't know why, but now I just want to see it for fun.
Yeah, he probably could do it. He did voice Starscream in Transformers Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when it comes for like Spider-Man and whatnot, it's a little bit more trickier for me. Because there are a lot of voice actors who've done the character that I actually like, but
who was the voice actor who did him in Spider-Man the animated series? For me, it's usually that one.
What's his name? Yeah,
I can't remember, but that's usually the voice I think about too.
it was kind of funny. I remember one of the Spider-Man games, they brought in like 4 different voice actors to play Spider-Man. It was for, what was it? Shattered Dimensions?
Mm-hmm.
Where they had 4 different Spider-Men. And the guy who voiced Spider-Man from the animated series, he was Spider-Man Noir. So he got to be the more gruff detective, angrier character from his counterpart, Mike. He's actually pulling this off really, really well, and I now want an animated Spider-Man Noir cartoon with him as the voice.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris played amazing. And the guy from the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends did the voice of Spider-Man 2099.
So the oldest voice actor played the newest iteration of the character.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
I'm trying to remember who the voice it was for Ultimate Spider-Man, but I can't remember. It could have been the... No, I don't remember. I wish someone would remind me, but I can't remember. But
Chat. Get
Chat.
on it.
Can you help me out here? Spider-Man, Shattered Dimension, voice actors, go. But I love that game, actually. I thought there was some really good parts in it, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of which, did you read the latest controversy concerning the game from the PS4, or did you already cover that and I
The
missed
police
it?
one.
Are we talking about the thing about someone complaining about the fact that Spider-Man is helping the police, or are we talking about the fact that there's an Easter egg that made people that was actually sad? Because there's 2 stories.
I caught the one where he was helping. Yeah, I caught that. I caught the one where he was apparently helping the cops in the game, even though he does that all the time.
Yeah, that was.
And it's a totally rational thing for a standard vigilante to do, to be, on positive terms with the police.
Yeah. I mean, Batman, anybody? How many times do we see him hang out with Commissioner Gordon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Batman has a giant flashlight, which anybody can use to call him about any time right on the roof of the Gotham City precinct, and no one complains about that.
Nope. Not once. It's actually quite surprising. It's like, oh, we're not going to talk about Batman. It's like, how come this didn't come up with like, all the Batman Arkham City games?
Mm-hmm.
All the Batman Arkham games. Wow, how come this never happened? Yeah. This never came up before.
Or how about when Superman tries to help the fire department try to figure out who's starting fires in Metropolis? Nope, no complaints there. But when Spider-Man does it, all of a sudden, oh no, this is a bad thing.
It was kind of funny. The article was saying it's like because he's supposed to be the everyman, and and he helps everybody. That's the reason why they don't like it. It's like, but he's always been helping the cops, whether the cops directly love him or hate him. He's always been helping the police. He's catching known criminals, thugs, and supervillains. Whether the cops are on his side or not, or they're out to get him, it doesn't matter. He's still helping them indirectly. Yeah. He's helping them catch, car thieves and all sorts of other individuals. So I'm like, seriously? You sound like J. Jonah Jameson from the video game. What is your problem? It's like you don't, because it's kind of funny. They talk about
moment
Spider-Man
when you make J. Jonah Jameson look sane in relation to Spider-Man.
It was actually kind of funny because I remembered watching some people actually playing the game, and that is one of J. Jonah's podcasts or radio show where he's actually talking about the fact that the police and Oscorp and Spider-Man are colluding together and watching everybody. He sounds like a nutcase. I'm like, okay, you may have a case and an argument for the fact that, it's Oscorp tech.
Yeah.
And we don't know what I don't know anything about Osborn's connection in the game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I I recently got the game and I haven't started playing it because I actually want to live stream the game on the channel. So I'm gonna hold off and wait till I get my headset before I jump in fully. But it's that's just stupid. It was the stupidest
J. Jonah
article I
Jameson
think I've ever heard.
going to the Alex Jones School of Journalism.
Yep. So
Or is it
Google
that
it
Alex
quick.
Jones went to the J. Jonah Jameson School of Journalism?
Maybe he did. Maybe they were roommates.
Yeah, somehow parts of that make so much sense. It's sad.
They want Spider-Man to be a menace and not loved by the city. Seems to be accurate. Maybe it's because that's the only type of Spider-Man that they've ever known, is the one that's a menace to the city. Quote unquote.
No, it's because they hate cops and consider cops to be pseudo-fascistic.
It's like, I could understand, like, if I've played pretty much a majority of the Spider-Man games that have come out, and I've played the stories where Spider-Man is a menace. It's nice to have a game where he's not a menace to the city and the people are actually behind him for once. I actually kind of like that. So long as it's handled well, I don't have a problem with the city supporting Spider-Man and him helping the city.
The only thing menacing I remember Spider-Man doing was in the Spider-Man 2 game, and that was just when he was trashing a cars of speeders, and they're like, "My car!" And Spider-Man's just be glad I didn't do that to your face.
In the classic Tobey Maguire voice. That's actually kind of funny. My car! Well, next time, don't drive angry. Yeah, it's... Well, I mean, Spider-Man is called a menace, but, and to some people in the city, he's a menace, and to others, he's not. And the people who believe him to be a menace are the ones who basically listen to J. Jonah, hang on J. Jonah's every word.
It's the very definition of bad journalism making for fake news.
Yeah. Because there are people who actually genuinely believe what Jameson has to say. Surprisingly enough.
As much as I despise politics being in comics, kind of, I do want someone to walk up to J. Jonah Jameson when he's spreading the lies about Spider-Man and go fake news. Just once.
I would like that too. They would love Prometheus. He is an evil version of Batman that kills cops. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. It's like, if you... It's one of those things, it's like, why is it okay for cop killers to be okay, but it's like, what, Spider-Man can't be helpful? Can't be a friend? They completely missed the point of his tagline, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. It's on his business card. Or his calling card. He's there as a friend, as a to help people. He's not evil. Him helping the police is just natural for him. It's part of his responsibility. Jesus Christ, read a goddamn Spider-Man.
Their logic is that police are pseudo-fascistic, which is complete bullshit, but
obviously it is. Yeah, it clearly is. It's like, but seriously, go freaking read an actual Spider-Man comic. Not Dan Slott's, preferably. But heck, even Dan knows better than that. Most of the time. Mm-hmm. Cops rotate as a legitimate quality newsman. Oh, wait, no.
Oh, God. Apparently, Terry Moore's butthurt over an Archie cover where Archie's holding an AR-15 and Predator, and they're going after Predator or the Predator.
Who is it?
Terry Moore on Twitter.
I don't know who that is.
A young American man. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is either. But Ian Ian Miles quoted him. Tweeted him.
Oh. Best meta line from Spider-Man 2 with Maguire. My back! My back! Because the actor injured his back between Spider-Man 1 and 2 filming. That's actually kind of funny. I think my favorite part from all of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man video games was the fact that Bruce Campbell was your narrator. That was my favorite part. Because it was hilarious. I think one of my favorite parts was, I think it was in the first Spider-Man game where he's doing the tutorial, where you do the tutorial mission, and he's like, okay, you got that? Cool. I'm going to go make myself a sandwich. And then he comes back with a sandwich. He's like, that's a good sandwich. Oh, too much mustard. Like, okay, that's funny. Bruce Campbell is just a charm to have in the games. It's unfortunate he's not in this one from what I can see. What did Terry Moore say? What was it again? Samurai?
Shit, I had it.
Because Eric,
it was going on about the. I gotta find it again now.
Uh-oh. Actually, I'm remembering.
But yeah, it was.
Go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, it was basically how it was basically going on about how a boy couldn't carry guns, even though isn't Archie in that universe like 17 years old?
They're just not happy of the fact that he's carrying around an AR-16 because
also
gun violence.
Yeah. Also, anybody want to bring up gunslinger girls, because they have girls younger than that wielding handguns, and
yeah,
he's
and
not
assault
complaining
rifles.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's. Why don't you bring that up to him? I'm sure it'll be a charming discussion.
Yeah.
It's like kids wielding firearms. I was allowed to fire a BB gun when I was around 12. Get over it. And that can take your eye out. My cousin still let me
watched
shoot it.
Christmas Story should know.
What?
I said, as everyone who's ever seen Christmas Story should know. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
It's like, and I even got to handle actual firearms and help my dad clean them when I was a kid. They were never loaded, so. And also, it's a comic book. It's a freaking comic.
Yeah,
Archie's not a real person. Just because he's carrying around Go ahead.
And they're going up against Predator. What do you want to do? Give him a water? What do you want to do? Give him a fire hose?
Yeah, I'm sure that'll do one thing.
We'll spray the Predator down with a hose.
One of the aliens from Signs that would actually work.
Yeah, if only conflict could be solved by watering it, by giving it water. If only.
Well, if somebody had the good sense to bring Tara, maybe it would work that way.
It's one of those weird things where people will complain about anything. I remember, like, even before Comicsgate was even before it even existed, talking about like the alternate Batgirl cover with the Joker. People getting all butthurt and upset about it. I'm like, oh my god, it's an alternate variant cover. Get over it.
Yeah, that might have been one of like the inciting incidents of Comicsgate, honestly.
It was kind of one of the many smaller problems that others were starting to become very aware of. Especially after situations like Gamergate and whatnot. People are starting to become more aware of what was going on. And then these people coming in and complaining about a variant cover, getting offended. on behalf of a fictional character that has a long storied history with the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also have another thing I can. Oh yeah, I also have another thing I can mention. Gigantor, where a kid younger than Archie is allowed to pilot his own giant robot.
Oh, it can take. How old is that kid from Gigantor?
I'm almost certain the kid there is 10 years old.
Well, then I mean, we could even bring up pretty much almost the large majority of Gundam protagonists.
Operating a giant robot, which can probably do more damage than an AR-15.
What?
Because Billy Batson is technically a kid.
Yeah, and you give him the power of gods.
Well, gods and heroes, which really sort of perturbs me. Why wouldn't you want all of the powers to be their most supreme selves? Like, why would you settle for just a hero when you can actually pick gods?
Interesting.
He deleted the tweet.
Oh. Obviously, because he got backlash because he was an idiot.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder if it's because Ian Miles called him out on it, or he realized that what he tweeted was downright dumb.
Probably the other.
Who called him out? Ian Miles Chung.
Yeah. It's what was I thinking? I mean, when you're talking about like putting kids in scenarios where they're using weapons and whatnot, and we mentioned Gundam pilots, it's like, let's see, Amuro is what, 15?
Yeah, Amuro was 15 when he piloted a Gundam.
Yeah, and he's a petulant child with bursts of outrage and not in control of his own emotions. It's like you're giving a child a war machine that has the ability to kill everything. Yep. And he even misuses its power and resources on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Especially when, he just like, oh, hey, look, there's a small Xeon military base right outside where my mom is a refugee. You know what? They're the enemy. I'm going to go take out Gundam and shoot down a small convoy that had like one mobile suit and nothing else. And then also I'm going to, mutiny and then just straight up abandon the ship and with the Gundam in tow. Yeah, he's a responsible individual. Let's let him keep using the war machine. That's the reason why you get bright slapped.
Or how about Hikari Chijo, who was about the same age as Amuro, because he was mistaken for a pilot, gets sent to fight aliens along with the rest of the military.
Yeah,
and a battlelite who he doesn't know how to operate.
Yeah, it happens in like a lot of those shows where it's like it's a kid being given a war weapon and they either don't know. Well, in Amuro's case, he learned how to use it very quickly. With Rick, not so much. He didn't know what he was doing. There's even pilots that are younger than Amuro that have piloted Gundams. You had Uso from Victory Gundam, who's like only 13 years old. And that show literally has a bigger death count than Zeta Gundam does. Warning to citizens in Gotham and New York City. Do not cosplay as Joker or Doom on Halloween in comic books. Oh my God. It's... These people just don't get it most of the time. Anybody have any final thoughts?
No.
I'll let everybody do final thoughts. Samurai, any thoughts? Anything you would like to add before we end?
Samurai?
Hello?
Earth to
Did
the
we lose him?
raccoon with the katana.
Did we lose him?
I don't know. I think we might have.
Well, he's still here. Maybe he's deep in thought. He might be.
My connection, I got disconnected for a few seconds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we were wondering. It's like there's that silence on his end. What happened? Did he fall asleep? Did he die at his keyboard?
Final thoughts?
Yeah, any final thoughts?
Just that Twitter is a cesspool of weirdos.
Yes.
Only if you go out looking for them. Which many people do.
Or you have people you're following looking for them, and they just happen to be popping up on your wall.
Yep. Read us a bedtime story. Once upon a time, there was a YouTuber who was very tired and wanted to go to bed. Actually, I'm kidding. It's actually still relatively early for me, so I'm not tired yet, but I don't have a bedtime story for you, Eric. I'm sorry. And aren't you a little bit old for a bedtime story? Unless you're a child, I don't think a bedtime story is necessary.
I don't know. Apparently, you're not old. Apparently, you're not too old to be a fan of My Little Pony if the bronies or anything to go by.
Fair point. But I think my throat is thrashed at this point. I don't want to read a story.
Understandable.
Read me a bedtime story where Marvel has quality artists and writers for their frontline heroes. That is a fantasy world. I could probably manage that. Tell me a story about #1 crate. Turtle time? I don't even get the reference to that joke. But thank you for commenting.
Turtle time? That sounds almost like Turtles in Time, which was a very good game.
Maybe it is. Maybe that's what it's a reference to. He was just saying, tell me a story about #1 crate. Have I mentioned my sponsorship with Loot Crate? I'm kidding. I'm too old to be on YouTube. That shows what you know, Eric.
Let me introduce you to a guy named Edwin Boyette.
Yes. I would love to have him on at some point, but I don't even think he knows I exist.
And that's not even counting the other, older YouTubers that are famous, like Jordan Peterson or Gadsad or any number of other people.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure you can put Doug Walker in that category at this point.
He's not that old.
He's just middle-aged, dude. He's not that old.
I don't even know if he's middle-aged because I remember one of the streams we talked. I think he's only a few years older than I am. I mean, I think he's close to 40, but I don't think he's quite 40 yet. Because I'm 34, and I think he's only a few years older than I am.
Yeah, he was in his 20s in, 2007 when he started, I thought, so...
He could be. I don't know.
I know the guy was in his 30s when he first came to my attention.
Edwin called me a young man. Then I told him I'm 12 years older than him. Well, that kind of proves the point that you're older than Edwin. Oh, okay. You know about PewDiePie versus T-Series? Kind of. It's just a running gag. PewDiePie likes to do that. He's just sarcastically saying, I will take down T-Series with my 10-year-old army. PewDiePie is fun. Funny thing is I used to never really care for his content, but his content more recently has been far more enjoyable.
Yeah, he got better after the sort of waking of him to political matters with the Wall Street Journal bullshit.
No, I think it was even before then. It was after his video where he was talking about happiness. and faking happiness for views and YouTube videos, and he said that he didn't want to do that anymore. He just wanted to be honest with everyone. That was when I started to actually watch his content and where he was steadily improving. And I think that was before the Wall Street Journal incident. Youngin.
He did say some dumb shit in regards to superhero movies, though. So there's that.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Something
I don't agree with everything he does or says.
Something he and the Nostalgia Critic have in common.
Yeah. Very, very much so. Only Nostalgia Critic is, in my opinion, far worse.
Yeah.
What
PewDiePie only touched the topic once.
Critic say about superhero movies that was dumb?
No, it's not that. It's not what he said. It's just that if taking his Dark Knight Rises review as an example, he makes pretty bad arguments as to why they are bad.
Comes from I've never watched any of PewDiePie's live streams. Sorry, Turtle Time. I haven't really watched any of his streams before, and he probably shouldn't. Actually, from what I recall, he actually can't live stream currently, even though he wants to. You want me to tell them to get off our lawn, or should I?
Get off my lawn.
By Gavin the Foxy. I don't know who that is. Turtle Time. I don't know if you're in the right stream or not. I'm not sure. But thank you for being here anyway. We appreciate it.
Yes.
We're really not here to talk about PewDiePie. Thank you for bringing it up, I guess. It's fine. It's a channel I follow and watch, so I don't want to talk about it.
Well, there's a statistically high probability that you would be a viewer of his because he's the largest YouTuber on the platform. Does he have like 30 million subscribers?
It's over 60.
Yeah.
Wow, somebody out there with more subscribers than Diversity in Comics. Who would have thunk?
Yeah.
Actually, DNC, all things considered, is still a relatively small channel in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. He really is.
He hasn't even hit 100K yet.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't, given that people like Gail Simone and Mads Visage can't stop talking about the guy.
Well, I think that the big ass hurdle for him is that he's limited by just the topic of comic books, because every time he's ever tried to talk about anything else, people tend to hate it.
Yeah,
like his opinions on movies and films.
Yeah, I think it might just be because he's a little bit of a twit.
That could be. That's Dalton's kind way of saying he ain't that bright.
Yeah. He still hasn't figured out the concept of a script yet.
Well, I don't use scripts either. It's just a matter of being able to actually eloquently explain what you actually are fucking saying.
And not bore us for like 15 not bore us for 15 minutes about how my day is going.
But yeah, see, the thing is, some people can do unscripted videos and other people's cannot. Every time I sit down and watch a Diversity in Comics video, which isn't often anymore, I'm just like scripting and editing.
Yeah, that was kind of at least editing would be nice. You don't have to script, because I don't.
Through what you're trying to say before you turn the camera on.
That too.
A little bit of like thinking about it ahead of time before starting talking, and then a bit of editing. I mean, we know you have the ability to do so. Because people want things in as much of a constructed thought process as you possibly can get it out. I mean, yeah. I don't script, but at least I would edit normal videos.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I cut out all of the dead air and
dead air and stuttering and stuff that doesn't really need to be there.
And just not understanding what like the definition of certain words are. I've seen him do that like 50 times. And he'll like misspeak one word and he'll keep misspeaking it even though people try to correct him, and it's like, dude, learn to English, please.
Only reason I'm here is because I got tired of trolling an RP stream.
Yes, somebody really needs to get him a thesaurus for Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody seriously invest in a thesaurus and send it to DNC. Please, for everybody's sanity, please send him a thesaurus and surprise him. Guys, Richard is good at entertaining. That's why he can hold people's attention for 40 minutes in a video. No, he can't. Not me. I can drag on, but his is like an omnipotent being of dragging on way more than even I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when it's nothing more than him going over to say points.
Yeah. It's like you're repeating. Stop repeating. Try to stop repeating at least.
Yeah.
And is he good at it? Kind of. I kind of miss just his older, shorter videos where he was just talking about a comic book and then destroying it. So that's what made when he was at his peak of entertainment. Now he's
and now Yellow Flash is picking up that shtick.
Yeah, actually,
dabbing
and
comics.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, for the first time ever, I actually giggled at the end of one of his videos. I was like, I never really liked his videos, but at the very least, I did laugh at the end of his last one about Iceman because he stabbed it. Cut it in half, and it's like, I know you're watching, Joe. Whee! And then throws it. Like, you got me. That was actually quite funny. Well timed.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Which is kind of funny. I'm not sure if it was Joe who tried to make this point, but they were going on about how Yellow Flash was transphobic or something because it was sexist because he stabbed the comic with the poster of a woman on it. And I pretty much said, well, he paid for it. He can put it through an office shredder for all I care.
Yeah, I remember your comment. I was like, yep, pretty much. It's like if I bought a comic book, I could do whatever I want to it.
Yeah. Not to mention I run it over. Yeah. Not to mention I brought up the fact that you might want to tune into a series called Atop the Fourth Wall because he pretty much does the exact same thing on occasion. No, he burns them.
Yeah, I was saying that I was talking to my mom about it last night. It's like Linkara was doing it for years. Why didn't anybody tell him that it was wrong?
Yeah,
he literally took them out in trash cans and burned them.
Yeah, I mean, even the angry video game or the irate gamer have destroyed actual game cartridges in their videos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or maybe watching any of Boogie's videos with Francis. They're destroying like Xboxes or PlayStations or whatever. It's like it's meant for it's either meant for comedic effect or they just genuinely didn't like it. Yeah. In some cases it's done for more dramatic effect to prove the point that it's shit, but
yeah.
No wait, if he gets one, he may swallow it and burp it out and it will be 10 times worse than it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, the point is people in your audience or people in your crosshairs know when you're selective outraging.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've complained about DNC so many times that I don't think his content is all that great to begin with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like I hate him or anything. I've checked a video of his every once in a while from time to time. It's boring, to say the least, and not really very entertaining, but, mildly informative at times, or at the very least giving his take on a situation. That's fine.
Yeah, when his videos aren't about the same old bandwagons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, stop feeding the trolls, DNC.
Yeah.
Stop talking to Kwanzaa.
Yeah, he's
Stop talking to Daryl Ayo.
Yeah,
Stop talking about these people.
Yeah, stop their dead topics. Stop digging up the dead topics graves.
And
Stop
also,
it remains.
It becomes a problem for me when he's talking about these people when he's trying to like discuss a comic or review the comic. It's like,
yeah,
you don't do that. If you're reviewing the book, the artist is supposed to be separate. You're supposed to judge the work itself.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're literally preaching to you directly, within which case I can see you maybe, because I've seen like, Doug or other people, blended in pretty well to, their reviews and whatnot. Yeah. If you can manage to do that and actually have a point to it.
Yeah. I mean, in some cases,
good, but
yeah, I mean, in a lot of cases, the comics are just bad because they're horribly written. It doesn't really have much to do with more social justice.
Yeah, they're just trash comic books. Just be like Linkara and burn them and get over it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about why they're bad and then move on. Do I know any obscure games? I might. Mr. Turtle Time. I might. Or Mrs. Turtle Time. I shouldn't assume your gender. Obscure video game. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that, considering I'm the JRPG guy and there are JRPGs out there that a lot of people have not checked out or seen, Pikmin is not that obscure. Most people know what it is, considering he's in Smash.
Why I get a lot of head scratches every time I bring up Phantasy Star 4?
See, that would be more obscure. Phantasy Star is a bit more obscure. Mm-hmm. Though still, at least in Japan it's popular, but out here it's more obscure. Games like Legend of the Heroes are obscure out here. Not very many people talk about them because all they like to talk about is Final Fantasy or Persona. And maybe the Tales series, but the Tales series is pretty good, so I don't have a problem with that. The most obscure RPG game I can think of off the top of my head would probably be Wild Arms.
Huh.
Because I didn't know what that game series was until I went to a friend's house and he gave me a copy. His dad had bought him a copy of Wild Arms 2. And he was playing it and he's like, I can't get past these puzzles. And I was like, hey, I like a good puzzle. Let me give it a shot. And I played the game for a few hours and solved the puzzles and got through a lot of the issues. And he's like, you know what? You want the game? I'm like, what? You don't like it? He's like, I'm not really interested. I'm like, I'll take it. And thus my love of Wild Arms began.
Yeah, I knew of the series. I just never played any of the games.
Yeah, some people might know of Wild Arms, but I think it's still kind of obscure enough to the point where, I mean, they haven't made a game in the series since like the PSP. So in this modern age, it could be considered obscure. At least obscure enough.
I mean, it probably is. I mean, it's not like Final Fantasy where everybody knows about it.
Or Dragon Quest.
Yeah, that's true.
I forgot Dragon Quest. That's very common. Because everybody knows what it is. At least most people do. But Wild Arms is great. I'd say go and check out the Wild Arms games. If you have a PlayStation 3, you can go to the PSN store and buy them.
Yeah, I imagine you can.
You can buy the first two.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have Wild Arms 2, which is the same copy I got from my friend, and I bought Wild Arms 3, not that.
I think
from secondhand.
Yeah, I think Saga Frontier is pretty obscure too.
Saga Frontier. It sounds familiar. There's a lot of them out. There's a lot of obscure JRPGs that a lot of people don't know about. That are actually sometimes even better than what you get from mainstream versions.
Yeah, I only rented Saga Frontier once, so I can't really form an opinion on the game.
Yeah. I mean, I remember renting like Star Ocean 2. And I didn't know very much about Star Ocean until I got Star Ocean 3. And then I was like, I should probably eventually go back and pick up Star Ocean 2. And I did. Or a friend of mine did, and he bought it for me and gave it to me. It was very nice. And of course, I have Star Ocean 4. And 4 is when they really started going downhill with quality. Anyway. Unless the artist writer puts their personal bias in the actual work and it's clearly there, don't bring up what the artist or writer does on Twitter. Review the work, novel concept, right? Yeah,
I agree.
pretty much. It's a strange concept because I've always been of the mindset of trying to separate the art from the artist as much as humanly possible. It can be hard to do, but if you're going to be discussing the work, you should remove them from the equation and judge it on its own merits. Even if that becomes increasingly harder to do in this day and age.
Right.
You should at least do your best to try. Don't make it a personal issue between you and their, their bad behavior.
Yeah. Then they can say, oh, you're attacking this group or you're attacking that group.
Well, they're going to say that no matter what. They're going to say that no matter what. So
but if you start doing that, they have a stronger footing and give them that satisfaction.
It gives them ammunition. DNC was the first channel I discovered. I found all you guys because of him. All kidding aside, I'll always be grateful to him for that. Yeah, I'm not saying you have to unsubscribe from the man. I haven't. I still haven't.
Wait, I never subscribed to him to begin with.
Yeah, no, I unsubscribed from him a while ago, but it wasn't out of any personal malice. I just didn't enjoy his content.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only want to keep up, I guess. I found NerdSync and led me to, I believe, Captain Cummings and England Team and DNC. Yeah?
Yeah. I actually found Captain Cummings first, and then DNC started showing up on my YouTube feed, followed by Eglantine and Just Some Guy and Doug Ernst.
Yeah. I think for me, I was probably like Cummings and Frugal and Ernst, and then I found others through them because they showed up in the recommended feed.
Yeah.
You know, it depends. Sometimes someone will find you through other, maybe because I remember there were some people on my channel who said they found me first and then found the others. It's like, well, that's interesting. That's normally the other way around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they found me first before they found Eglantine or Doug. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, you think it would have been the other way around since Doug and Eglantine and particularly DNC are bigger channels.
Yeah, true. For example, I won't boycott Zurcher because I like his art. His Twitter is bizarre at times, but it doesn't show in his art. True.
Yeah. He and I had some unpleasant words, let's just say, and he blocked me.
Yeah, that's what most of them do anyway. That's why I tend to just not interact with them very much anymore. There's no point of talking to them if they're just going to block me anyway.
Yeah, funny thing is, I wasn't really talking to him at the time. He just jumped into the conversation and started chewing me out.
Oh. Or it's his fault you guys have to put up with me in these chats. Maybe. Can I copy strike DNC for this harassment?
Yeah. Yeah, and I pretty much said to him, "Screw you, pal. You're supposed to be a professional, and you take these criticisms way too personally."
Yeah, that's what a lot of them do, unfortunately. Dan Slott, Wade, everybody. A lot of them, they take them as personal attacks. It's like, it's not a personal attack. Your work just sucks.
Yeah.
You lost your mojo. Maybe you should take a break for a couple months or a year.
Yeah, it's not like I said, no one likes you, and I hope you die alone in a pool of your own bodily fluids.
Yeah, it's not what we've said. That's what many of us have not said, and we don't endorse that type of behavior. We're just saying your work needs to be better, or you need to take a break and move away from it.
Yeah.
Get a new perspective.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for like Mark Waid and Dan Slott for years. It's like, hey guys, go, get away from comics for a year or so. Go on like go travel the world or something. Chill out, and then come back. Oh no, Eric is cussing me out in comic book form. Well, I beep censor you too.
Yeah, what's the use of having swearing in comic books if you're just going to censor it?
Yeah, but that makes no sense to me. Never has. It's like, I mean, in a mature comic, okay, yeah, sure, cussing makes sense. Go for it. But if it's a comic where you're not allowed to curse, why is it even there in the first place? Oh, wait, that's right. It's because you can't write dialogue without it.
Yeah.
Anywho, I think we've rambled actually a lot longer than we intended to.
Yeah, we were going on about final thoughts, and then we never got to. I don't think we ever got to what Dalton wanted to say.
Did we? Probably not. Any final thoughts, Dalton?
I was just gonna show my upcoming video. I'm doing a review of Sandman Overture here shortly.
Cool.
Should be out by sometime this weekend, if not tomorrow.
Cool. Okay. Yep. Go to all the channels. Not all of them are linked in the description.
Just type in Samurai Raccoons drawing live streams. You'll find it.
And if you type in the authenticator, I will come up. So
yeah. There you go. Just be sure that you spell those words appropriately.
Also, and if you do, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications and check that stuff, because apparently they go away sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just follow us on Twitter and we'll let you know when we upload things.
Yes.
Yep. Saying somebody smells like a made-up word sounds like an alien insult. Okay. Sure. Okay. Anyway, guys, thanks you all for joining. And of course, Mindy's links are down below. So if you want to follow her stuff, please feel free to do so. Show her support, because clearly she could definitely use some.
Yeah.
You know? She's got a project coming, so keep an eye on that. I think I'll probably start doing that too. I don't get the need to actually curse in comics or showing this. I miss the days of the code when people were creative about cursing.
Yeah, my publisher doesn't really let me do that either.
Yeah.
I don't miss the code, and the Comics Code Authority can get fucked.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll probably see you on the next one. Have a good night.
Cheers, guys.